David was a hardworking man who loved his family deeply. But tragedy struck, leaving his wife Sophia and young daughter Sarah to face the unthinkable. What happened at David's funeral shocked everyone and left a lasting impression. Watch to the end to uncover this heartwarming yet emotional story. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to support our channel. David's life had always been a struggle, a cycle of poverty that seemed impossible to escape. Born to hardworking parents in a small, impoverished neighborhood, he learned early on that dreams often remained just that, dreams. His parents had wished for a better life, but they passed away too soon, leaving David with nothing but their unfulfilled hopes. Determined to honor their memory and carve out a future for himself, David set out on a relentless quest to build a better life. His journey began with grueling jobs at construction sites, where he toiled long hours under the blistering sun. When that wasn't enough, he ventured into selling fruit by the roadside. Each day, he would wake up before dawn to gather fresh produce, set up his small stall, and spend the entire day hustling to make ends meet. At night, he would take shifts at local factories, sacrificing sleep to ensure he could save every penny he earned. It was a harsh existence, but David was driven by a single thought. He would not let his parents' sacrifices be in vain. One fateful day, as he arranged his stall, a young woman caught his eye. She walked with an effortless grace, her radiant smile lighting up the street. David was captivated. Her name was Sophia, and she became a regular customer at his stall. Every day she would stop by, her laughter a brief respite from his demanding routine. Over time, they grew close, sharing moments of joy amidst the noise and chaos of the bustling street. For David, Sophia was more than a companion. She was a symbol of hope, a reminder that life could be beautiful even amidst hardship. Their bond deepened during a stormy afternoon when an unexpected downpour caught them both off guard. As rain soaked the streets, David scrambled to protect his stall. To his surprise, Sophia rushed to help him, her laughter echoing through the downpour. They sought shelter together, and as they waited for the storm to pass, David found the courage to confess his feelings. To his relief, Sophia shared the same emotions, and their relationship blossomed. Their love story was nothing short of magical. Sophia often joined David at his stall, their shared laughter and affection drawing customers in. Over time, David's small fruit stand grew into a thriving business, and within a few years he opened a proper store. With Sophia by his side, his life felt complete. Marriage soon followed, a testament to their unbreakable bond. Yet, as much as they cherished each other, the couple faced an unexpected challenge. They struggled to conceive a child. The longing for a family weighed heavily on Sophia, but David remained steadfast in his support, assuring her that their time would come. And it did. 2 years after their wedding, Sophia discovered she was pregnant. Their joy knew no bounds. When their daughter, Sarah, was born, she brought light into their lives like never before. Her dreamy eyes mirrored her mother's, and her sharp features bore the mark of her father's resilience. She was a prodigy, astonishing her parents with her intellect and charm. Together, the family built a life filled with love, laughter, and shared dreams. David was a devoted father, spending every moment he could with Sarah, nurturing her curious mind. By the time she turned 3, Sarah could read fluently and solve math problems that amazed everyone. For David and Sophia, she was not just a daughter, but a testament to their love and determination. But life, as they had learned, was never predictable. On Sarah's 5th birthday, their happiness was overshadowed by a horrifying incident. As the family celebrated with games and laughter, David suddenly collapsed. Panic filled the room as Sophia and Sarah rushed to his side. When he regained consciousness moments later, David dismissed the incident as exhaustion. Yet the fear lingered. A week later, the unthinkable happened again. This time, the collapse was more severe, and David had no choice but to seek medical attention. Tests and consultations followed, and the diagnosis was devastating: a terminal illness that would soon claim his life. The news hit them like a thunderbolt, shattering the idyllic life they had built together. David's health deteriorated rapidly, and though he tried to shield his family from the pain, the strain was evident. Sarah, despite her young age, sensed that something was deeply wrong. Sophia struggled to remain strong, torn between caring for her husband and protecting their daughter from the harsh reality. The once vibrant home was now clouded by uncertainty and fear. The chapter closes with the family grappling with their new reality, the love between them serving as their only solace in an increasingly uncertain world. David's hospital room was bathed in sterile white light, a stark contrast to the vibrant life he had once led. Machines beeped rhythmically, each sound a reminder of the battle he was losing. Sophia sat by his side, her hands tightly clutching his, as if sheer willpower could stop the inevitable. She had told Sarah that her father was at the hospital for special reasons, but deep down, Sophia knew her daughter wasn't convinced. Sarah was a bright child, too bright to ignore the signs. The hushed conversations, the tears Sophia tried to hide, and the long hours spent in the hospital told her more than words ever could. She loved her father deeply, and the thought of losing him was a fear she could not yet articulate. It was during one of their hospital visits that Sarah's suspicions spilled into words. "Papa," she asked quietly, sitting on his bed and holding his frail hand, "are you dying?" Sophia froze, her breath catching in her throat. She had worked so hard to shield Sarah from the truth, but now, faced with her daughter's direct question, she realized she couldn't protect her forever. David, with tears welling in his eyes, gave a weak smile. "Yes, my little star," he whispered, his voice trembling. "Papa won't be here for long." Sarah's lip quivered, but instead of crying, she climbed onto the bed and hugged him tightly. "It's okay, Papa. You'll always be with me. Right here." She placed his hand over her small chest, right where her heart beat steadily. David couldn't hold back his tears any longer. In that moment, it was as if his daughter was the one giving him strength. From that day forward, Sarah became a beacon of hope in the hospital room. Her visits brought light into David's dark days. She would sit beside him reading stories or sharing details about her day with an enthusiasm that made him forget the pain, if only for a little while. David, in turn, cherished these moments, knowing each one could be his last. Sophia, however, was struggling to cope. The weight of her grief and responsibilities threatened to break her. One evening, as David's condition worsened, she broke down beside his bed. "Why are you leaving us?" she sobbed, her voice filled with anger and despair. "You promised me forever, David. You promised to be with me, to watch Sarah grow. Why can't you fight harder?" David, gathering the little strength he had left, reached out and pulled her close. "I'm sorry, Sophia," he murmured, his voice cracking. "I've fought as hard as I can. But this is something I can't win. I love you both, more than anything, and I'm so sorry." But Sophia couldn't bear it. She pulled away and fled the room, her tears blurring her vision. For hours she wandered the hospital halls, consumed by her grief. It wasn't until she heard Sarah's voice in the distance that she found the courage to return. Inside the room, Sarah had taken charge. She refused to let anyone enter, insisting that she needed time alone with her father. Sophia, peeking through the small window on the door, saw her daughter lying beside David, her tiny arms wrapped around him as they whispered to each other. She couldn't hear their words, but she could see the love and understanding in their faces. Later that night, after Sarah had fallen asleep in a chair beside the bed, David called Sophia back into the room. His voice was weak, but his eyes were steady. "I need you to promise me something," he said. "Promise me that you'll live your life fully, for Sarah, for us, and tell her every day how much I love her." Sophia nodded through her tears, her hand trembling as she reached for his. "I promise," she whispered. The next morning, David's body finally gave in. He passed away peacefully in his sleep, a soft smile on his face as if he had made peace with his fate. Sophia's world shattered. She fell to her knees beside his bed, overwhelmed by a wave of regret. She thought of all the things she hadn't said, all the moments they wouldn't share, and the future she would now face alone. Sarah, on the other hand, seemed calm. Her eyes were dry, though her face was pale. She walked up to her father's bed, kissed his forehead, and whispered, "Goodbye, Papa. I love you." Though her heart was breaking, Sarah found comfort in the time they had shared. Those quiet conversations, the warmth of his embrace, and the love he had poured into every moment gave her the strength to carry on. Sophia, seeing her daughter's quiet resilience, realized that she too needed to be strong, not just for Sarah, but for the memory of the man they both loved. The chapter closes with the family preparing for the funeral, the weight of loss heavy in the air, yet tinged with the faintest glimmer of hope born from love and shared memories. The day of the funeral arrived with a heavy sky, as if the weather itself mourned the loss of David. Friends, family, and neighbors gathered to pay their respects to the man who had touched so many lives with his kindness, determination, and quiet strength. The church was filled with somber whispers and muffled cries as everyone waited for the service to begin. Sophia sat in the front row, her face pale and drawn. Her grief had settled into a quiet numbness, a constant ache in her chest that made breathing feel like a chore. Beside her sat Sarah, her small hands folded in her lap. The little girl's face was calm, but her eyes held a depth of sadness far beyond her years. As the ceremony began, the pastor spoke of David's unwavering love for his family and his relentless pursuit of a better life. He recounted stories of David's resilience, his love for Sophia, and his deep bond with Sarah. Each word felt like a dagger in Sophia's heart, but Sarah listened intently, her gaze fixed on her father's casket. When the time came for the burial, the mourners followed the casket to the gravesite. The air was thick with emotion as the pallbearers carefully lowered it into the ground. Sophia clutched Sarah's hand tightly, struggling to hold back tears, but Sarah stood firm, her expression resolute. As the final prayers were said, Sarah turned to her mother. "I want to say goodbye to Papa," she whispered. Sophia hesitated for a moment, unsure if she could handle the sight of her daughter facing such a monumental loss. But she nodded, stepping aside to give Sarah space. The crowd watched in silence as Sarah approached the casket. She knelt beside it, placing her small hands on the polished wood. Her voice, soft but steady, carried through the still air. "Papa, I love you," she said. "Thank you for being the best father. I'll never forget you." Tears streamed down the faces of the mourners as they witnessed the heartfelt moment. Sophia's chest ached with a mix of pride and sorrow as she watched her daughter display a strength she could barely fathom. Then something extraordinary happened. As Sarah leaned in to press a kiss to the casket, a white dove descended from the sky. The bird landed gently on the casket, its soft cooing breaking the heavy silence. Gasps rippled through the crowd, and some stepped back in shock. Even Sophia froze, unsure of what to make of the unexpected visitor. The dove tilted its head, its dark eyes seeming to look directly at Sarah. It pecked lightly at the edge of the casket, then ruffled its feathers and settled. Sarah's lips parted in a small, trembling smile. "Papa sent you, didn't he?" she whispered, her voice so soft that only the nearest mourners could hear. The dove remained for a moment longer before lifting off and circling above the gravesite. As it disappeared into the gray sky, Sarah turned back to the crowd. Her expression was serene, almost peaceful. "He's saying goodbye," she said simply, her voice filled with a quiet conviction. The adults, who had moments ago been struck with disbelief, now found themselves moved to tears once again. For Sarah, the dove's presence was a sign, a final gift from her father, a reminder that he would always be with her. As the burial concluded, Sarah stood by her mother's side, holding her hand tightly. Sophia, still shaken by the event, knelt down and pulled her daughter into a tight embrace. "You're so brave, my love," she whispered, her voice breaking. "I'm so proud of you." Years later, the story of the dove became a cherished family memory, a tale passed down to Sarah's children and grandchildren. For Sarah, it was more than a story. It was a testament to the love that had shaped her life, a love that had transcended even death. The chapter ends with Sophia and Sarah walking away from the gravesite, hand in hand. Despite the weight of their loss, they carry with them the strength and love David had given them, a legacy that would endure for generations. Thank you for watching this emotional story of love, loss, and hope. If this touched your heart, share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new story. See you in the next one.